Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Taylor Samantha, and let's go into it. So today I'll be reviewing or discussing my thoughts on Brittany Renner's book, Judge This Cover. So it's a, very interesting cover. It's cute. She looks good though. She does look good. One thing I do appreciate is she used one of my favorite photographers, which she discussed in her book, Jessie J. So I was like, oh, I love her work, so I was excited about that. So we'll just go into my thoughts. So I actually want to discuss about each of the characters. So it's about 7 lessons she learned from 7 men. So with my, detective self, I thought I'd do a little research to figure out who each of these people were. And I'm just going to give you who I thought each person was. So, and another thing is I'm a writer, so I understand when people put clues in their writing, and she definitely put some clues in this stuff. So the first person is Seth, and it's titled Finding Oz, which is funny because she referred to him as having green eyes, and then her, going down the yellow brick road or whatever, so that was kind of cute. So that's definitely her ex, Casey. So we all know that for sure. So, and then she has Evan, titled Flag on the Play. I'm pretty sure that's Kaepernick. I mean, all the rumors and stuff or whatever, and her going to a game, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, I used to work for the Niners at the stadium, and I've definitely seen her at a game. And one of the players, his baby mama, would post pictures of them and stuff, like, oh, it's nice meeting you, nice seeing you, and I'm like, yeah. So that's definitely true. The next one is Leon, titled Soul Tie with a Songbird. I'm pretty sure that's Trey Songz, because she refers to people discussing his sexuality, and then she kept like saying Nobody Else But You, which is a song title, and then she was like, oh, I feel like he's mastered sex, he invented sex. And then, just talking about him winning group play and stuff. And we all know Trey a freak, so. And then another thing where she was like, oh, he wanted me to be an angel on my shoulder. Like, I understand the concept, like the angel or devil, but it's like, he wanted you to be one of Trey's angels. So that's that. The next person is Frank, titled One and Done. And any sports fan understands the concept of one and done. If you're in NCAA basketball, you go 1 year and then you're in the league the next year. So one and done, and Ben Simmons. And then, she was talking about he's young and he looked like an F-boy, and that he had a big penis, which I've heard, so yeah. The next person is Ivan, which I'm not too sure about this, but I feel like it's Kyrie Irving. I mean, the Irvin, I don't know. I mean, she talks about them discussing conspiracy theories, which is very Kyrie-ish. Her going to Boston, he plays for the Celtics, and him having a baby. So to me, I feel like that's Kyrie. And then, but the only thing is she was talking about like, oh, people wouldn't know who he is, but I feel like a real sports fan would. But since Kyrie isn't that tall, it's like you wouldn't just automatically notice him if you didn't know him, because I feel like people see a tall person, they're like, oh, this must be a basketball player, whatever. So the next person is Solomon, and that's titled Malpractice, and I'm 1000% sure this is that guy. His Instagram is like IMCs or something, because he's definitely a lawyer, and yeah, I've seen them on Instagram together, so that's definitely him. And then the last person is Hector, and I think she confirmed that that was Lil Uzi. Somebody was saying like she took like a screenshot picture or whatever of them FaceTiming. So, and then all this devilish stuff she was talking about, because that's the title's called Dancing with the Devil, so I'm pretty sure that's Lil Uzi. So yeah, that's that. But overall, I think the book was it was very good. I just finished it literally like 5 minutes ago, so it definitely was a good read. I didn't like get bored or whatever. And I mean, she definitely discussed a lot of things that I feel like a lot of women need to hear. And I think it's important to sometimes be vulnerable with yourself and be honest. Number one, be honest with yourself, because I feel like a lot of people are so ashamed to say things went wrong and that they took an L with a guy or whatever. And I feel like I applaud her honesty, because some things are embarrassing. Like, nobody wants to admit that they've been hurt or that they've been played and whatever. But I mean, that's a part of growing. And I feel like real growth is when you can understand which lesson each person, you know, that you've taught, that you've learned from each person. I think that she does a really good job of letting us know how each person impacted her life in some way. So with the first person, Seth, which was her ex, I mean, she just definitely learned a lot about herself. And honestly, I feel like she understands that he's kind of the reason that she is, you know, the bundle of Brittany that we know. Because, you know, when she was with him, that's when she, you know, started, you know, taking pictures and posting on Instagram. And, you know, I guess he was her manager and, you know, kind of keeping her on a strict diet and doing all this weird stuff. But I think she kind of understood that, like, be careful what you wish for. Because when she met him, he had a girlfriend, and she kind of basically stole him from his girlfriend. And then I think she started to realize, like, wow, you know, the way you get into a relationship is sometimes kind of how it ends, you know, or in a way. And then she kind of realized that she can't do things to appease a man, because she was discussing about how she would have threesomes and stuff, and, you know, how she wasn't really into it, or if she was too into it, he'd be jealous, and it was just a lot of conflict. And I feel like sometimes when you bring people, when it's not like something genuine, because there's some people that just genuinely, you know, like having threesome, but some people just do it just because they're bored in a relationship. And I feel like she just understood that, like, hey, I can't just be doing anything to make this man happy. And I felt like she just did entirely too much to make him happy. Like, she didn't even finish school. She ended up moving away with him, you know, kind of sheltering and isolating herself from her family and friends. Like, that's something you can't do. That's already red flags in a relationship. Like, once you start isolating from everybody else, it's like, I feel like you have to have your own life outside of a relationship. Because when your relationship is just too much, then you really lose sight of yourself. And it's like, who are you? And that's why people always feel like they're not complete until they're in a relationship. Like, people who aren't loving themselves truly, like, nobody should complete you. You should already be whole. So I think definitely she learned that dealing with Seth. And then Evan Kaepernick was kind of like her rebound. And I think she appreciates that he was a good rebound, especially being who he is. So, but then it's like, you kind of realize that, like, okay, this person could have X, Y, and Z, but they're stale, and their personality is stale. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can't force somebody to be more fun or be what you want them to be just because in your shallow mind you're like, oh, this person is perfect on paper, but in reality they're not shit. And then, you know, everybody was just discussing about how he was like, oh, you know, if you want this to work, you gotta pay for your own flights, blah, blah, blah. And people are laughing. And I'm just like, girl, like, half of y'all can't even get a dude to pay for an Uber, let alone a flight. So it's like, stop judging the situation. I feel like any boss woman is not about to be over here begging a man to pay for their flight. Like, if you like somebody, because what do normal people do? Normal people, you know, long distance relationship, they pay for their own flights, or sometimes, you know, they help each other out, go half, whatever. And I mean, I just think that's normal. But it's like, you can't just always expect a man just because he has money to do everything, unless somebody offers. And I mean, you know, you're not in a financial situation to say no, then it's like, okay, that's that. But it's like, if you kind of are, then it's like, you know, it's no big deal. You know, I mean, I've paid for my own flights, and I've had people pay for flights. I mean, it's not a big deal, especially if you guys have a good relationship where it's really just not based on them just doing everything for you. Because I feel like that's when a lot of guys get a sense of control, where it's like basically feeling like they bought you, and that's a whole other issue. So the next person, Leon Trey Songz, I guess she learned that, like, you can't try to change a man or want them to be this perfect person for you just because you have a special connection with a guy. Guys are narcissists. Let's just be honest. Like, you could think like, oh my god, this is different, I'm different for them, maybe they'll settle down with me and stop being a player. But it's like, girl, you cannot force a man to be what you want them to be. Honestly, like, when somebody tells you something, you have to believe them the first time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I think she just understood that, like, she can't just be accepting things just because they're who they are. Like, you know, she was talking about how, like, he was like, oh, well, you know, at least I'm being honest with you, this is what I like doing. It's like, okay, and just because you like group sex don't mean just because I love you or think I love you that I'm just going to be dealing with that. And I think she definitely understood, like, I'm not accepting BS from anybody. And then the next rebound, because all of these people really are rebounds after rebounds, you know, and she's aware of that. Frank Ben Simmons, one of them. I think with him, she just learned like sometimes you, like, again, you can't force yourself to be this perfect woman for people, you know. And it's like, go with your gut. Like, you know, when the first time she saw him, she was like, oh, you know, maybe he looks like an F4 or whatever. Just stick with that. Like, of course you shouldn't judge anybody, but it's like, sometimes you gotta use your common sense. And he was a little younger than her, and, you know, the situation just wasn't what she needed it to be. And hold on, there's one more thing, I had to write it down. Oh, this is where she was just talking about how, like, she learned, you know, to give really good head. So I mean, I think that's what kind of started the little freakness from her, because she's like, you know, I want to be perfect. Like, I'm about to be watching a whole bunch of porn, about to be watching Tiana Trump, and I'm about to learn to get that neck right. So I mean, everybody is in a way. So, you know, now, you know, to her, she's probably the headmaster. So he wasn't a complete L. And then, so the next person, Ivan, aka Kyrie, in my mind. I just don't know if that's 100% true, but I'm just gonna call him Kyrie. And I mean, just with him, I guess she would just understand, like, who is she trying to be fake for? Like, she wants to appear to be wholesome, you know, like, be this goody girl, just, even though, you know, he probably had his perception of her already. But it's like, girl, you do not need to change yourself for nobody. And you gotta just take stuff for what it is. Because I guess she got flown out there and they didn't really see each other. And, you know, she gave him some neck. The size wasn't right. So she's like, you know what, this ain't that bad. I mean, I'm about to run up this room service tab. Girl, I feel you, because I've done that. For, like, don't leave me in your hotel room, because I will run up that tab. JK. Maybe not. And, you know, just with him, she just, you know, just saw it for what it was. You know, even if it was good at first, it's like, sometimes people are just there, you know. And then I guess with the Solomon guy, the IMC's guy or whatever, you know, she had to learn to really not ignore red flags. You know, first he was like, you know, trying to change her nails or whatever, because I guess she has some neon colored nails and he didn't like. And then you know, just wanting her to change her diet, or, you know, say things about, you know, what she's posting or what she's doing and blah blah blah. It's like, once dudes start doing that, you gotta cut him. And I mean, I don't want to generalize nobody, but he is Nigerian, and sis, that's all I'm gonna say. The thing is, I think Nigerian men are beautiful, but some of them, and don't, y'all know what it is, some of them just be a little controlling, and that's just what that is. It's like, but like, sometimes it's like, you can't be this perfect person. Some people just want you to be this perfect angel for them, and it's like, that's just not what it is. And then, you know, she has such a good heart, but she was realizing, like, she has to figure out who's an opportunist. And I feel like with C, she thought, like, he was an opportunist, because he's like, oh, you know, we have to plan picture day, and, you know, I want to get 100K followers. And it's like, girl, once any dude start wanting to do that, like, forget you trying to build and upgrade your man. Like, he's using you. She just knew that, you know. And then, you know, just her talking about how she would get random DMs of girls, like, in his bathroom, and, you know, just trying to post their location, trying to make her mad and stuff. It's like, people are going to be childish, and it's like, sometimes you can't ignore people's behavior, because I guess he claims, you know, that was his first real relationship and he doesn't know the rules. It's like, there's no rules to dating. It's common sense. Like, you know what you should and shouldn't be doing. That's it. I mean, what more is to that? And then I guess the last person was Hector, which is Uzi. And I guess with him, she just learned, like, you know, you could really love someone that you don't think would be a perfect match for you. And I think with her, she just saw, like, you know what, maybe I could love somebody because I love myself. And I think that was kind of like that stepping stone for her to truly understand what she deserves and what she just doesn't need to tolerate anymore. But overall, I think it was a really good book. I would recommend it. I definitely will put the link below for, you know, anybody who wants to order it or whatever. So thanks for listening to me. And if you guys want to discuss more about the books and your views or whatever, if you read it, just, you know, put a comment below and I'll make sure I respond. So thank you for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe.